The other day, my 7-month-old daughter and I were looking at a picture book together. And I became interested to see that she was reaching into each image in much the same way that she reaches for objects. And my first reaction to this was bemusement at this misapprehension in a baby. But then I was given pause to wonder if it's reasonable to assume that we ever grow completely out of this relationship with pictures. What is an image exactly? We use the word to identify our particular experience of vision, of light. But we don't do the same for hearing and sound. It might seem a strange question, but it's an important distinction in this age of increasingly visual culture. One of the most influential voices on this topic, a philosopher by the name of Willem Flusser, began a 1985 book entitled Into the Universe of Technical Images with a, quote, warning. He wrote, "I raise the prospect of a future of a society that synthesizes electronic images. It will be a fabulous society, radically different from our own. Seen from here and now, current scientific, political, and artistic categories will be barely recognizable there. Our state of mind and even our existential mood will take on a new and strange coloration. In 2017, it seems to me that in many ways Flusser was right. Let me show you how with a few pictures. This is Cheonggyecheon, a stream at the heart of the metropolis Seoul. In the 1950s, the stream was paved over to build a motorway, but it was subsequently brought back to daylight in 2005 as part of a massive urban regeneration scheme. This was a complicated and controversial project with a whole range of social and environmental factors. But what interests me specifically is how the process to bring this stream back required a vision of what the stream did and also should look like. And this is one way in which images become more than they seem. When we try to balance the effect of human populations by constructing or reconstructing what we call natural spaces, and there are examples of this in every major city on the planet now, we can't help but refer to images we have seen as a source for the envisioning of them. In this way, there are an increasing number of places in the world that have, in part, evolved out of an image. So this river is not only a place, it is also an image. When I photograph rivers, I see a metaphor for interconnectivity. Hermann Hesse's story told it beautifully. Did you, so Siddhartha asked Vasudeva at one time, did you too learn that secret from the river, that there is no time? Vasudeva's face was filled with a bright smile. Yes, Siddhartha, he spoke. It is this what you mean, isn't it? That the river is everywhere at once, at the source, at the mouth, at the waterfall, at the ferry, at the rapids, in the sea, in the mountains, everywhere at once, and that there is only the present time for it. It seems to me that images are to places like rivers are to the earth. They surround each other as elements in a larger symbiotic system. A biosphere, an image sphere. If we look through this reconstructed stream, we should see into images, not unlike my daughter with her book. Photography is often associated with the past, even death. This isn't surprising. We have a basic agreement with media of all forms that recordings are in the past But the nature of time and space, as they relate to photography, is not quite as simple as this. In the words of the brilliant artist John Cage, we don't see much difference between time and space. We don't know where one begins and the other stops. And physicists wouldn't disagree. They call it the space-time continuum. The click of a shutter appears to fracture time as space. But if we don't know where time begins and space ends, and we know places are partly images, why would a photograph appear to solidify anything? Is it more reasonable to think of it as within a flow? The philosopher I mentioned earlier, Willem Flusser, he had a fabulous insight. He linked photography to cosmology and said that rather than death, we should associate photography with life. Specifically, he contrasted photography with entropy, the inexorable expansion of the universe toward evenly distributed chaos and eventual heat death. Flusser thought the act of photography should be understood as a process of negative entropy. Because, of course, not everything in the universe is moving towards entropy in an orderly way. In certain parts, things will excitedly rearrange and create new forms. Earth is one of those situations. And our cameras play an increasingly important role in what emerges here. So images, in a very real cosmic sense, are part of the way the universe is coming into being. Photographs aren't all about death. They are also a reaching for immortality. Do you ever wonder about the photographs you exist in but don't know about? Where could you be resonating immortally right now? It's a common complaint in the age of the camera phone that people are always watching the world through their screens, as though they've lost the ability to be in the moment at a concert or in front of the Mona Lisa. But I think this complaint is too easily made. When we photograph, we are participating. We're just participating in something new. And the time-space of the resulting image can do something amazing. It can fold in on itself and therefore amplify how it resonates in life, no matter how unplugged the original moment may have seemed. If I reflect on Flusser's idea about technical images in relation to this generic sunrise at Angkor Wat, for example, it is almost as though the cosmic resonance of this place in time as an image requires that a multitude of us stretch out our hands to confront it. We don't need our cameras to experience it, that's true. But our cameras need us. The image sphere expects us. When we reach into this place, the images we find are not just a reflection on the past, looking back on the evolution of culture. They are the evolution of culture. In this way, we may not just be recording the past. As improbable as it sounds, we may be recording an echo of the future. How would we decipher the future in an image? Many images appear to reveal an uncertain future. In what's being called the age of the Anthropocene, a term used to describe a proposed new geological era defined by the impact of human activity, there are increasing pressures on the course of the evolution of culture. As humans see more and more, envision more and more, and build more and more, we paradoxically witness an apparent threat to the equilibrium of a system that makes it all possible. What role do images play in this change? In his influential essay, The Question Concerning Technology, Martin Heidegger suggested that the essence of a tree is certainly not itself a tree that can be encountered among all the other trees. This particular tree, as it happens, began its encounters 847 years ago. It has quite a few more today. Heidegger linked his idea about a tree to technology. The essence of technology is by no means anything technological, he said. This is a perplexing thought, the idea that the essence of a thing is not the thing itself. I suppose we should infer that the essence of an image is not itself an image. But then I wonder what the essence of an image is. And when I do, I imagine it vibrating out of sight in the space-time continuum, in a swirling flow. Against entropy. Of course, it's apparent that not all images flow against entropy. When Alexis de Tocqueville traveled to America in 1831 and sailed up the East River into New York, he saw from the boat what he thought were little white private marble palaces in the distance, only to discover up close that they were, in fact, much simpler houses made of whitewashed brick. 150 years later, Jean Baudrillard declared that such simulacra had tilted the machine. It is not illusion that conceals reality, he declared. It is reality that conceals the fact that there is none. There's a lot to learn from Las Vegas. For those who may not have been there, this assemblage of buildings is not photoshopped. It was imagined, no doubt referring to images, and then built this way. The power of images such as these is in full effect right now. We have recently seen, I would suggest, what Flusser foresaw, the collapse of at least two prior image categories, those differentiating between politics and entertainment. A picture recently appeared in the popular image sphere, a picture of a Manhattan elevator, the interior of which is clad in solid gold. It rises to heights that we should all aspire to, but never really hope to reach. You know the one I mean. I have a short, true story about making this picture. While driving to this place, without really knowing why I was going there, but certainly following images, I approached a particularly massive gas station on the highway outside of town. And on the side of the road, as I got close, I saw a woman in a Statue of Liberty costume holding a sign to encourage drivers to pull in and buy gas. It was hot, with full sun, dusty and windy. The side of the highway was a brutal place to be. But the sight that made this scene so arresting, I would ask you now to include in your imagining of this scene that the woman in the costume was unconscionably elderly. The image of the golden elevator is entropy. We can envision something else. Not far from where we are, here in Vancouver, there is a forest valley. The biologist E.O. Wilson has pointed out that essentially non-human spaces like these forests, old-growth forests, are vital to the future of life, to a dynamic equilibrium that makes evolution possible. He has also suggested that we have reached a unique watershed moment in human history, a point that he calls volitional evolution. And it means that with our new technologies, we are able to evolve by choice, at will. Wilson is referring to biotechnologies, but I wonder about it in the context of electronic image technologies, the way that Flusser encouraged us to understand them. This picture of the old-growth forest, I plan to show it to my daughter one day. I then hope to travel to the forest it depicts so that we can reach through that place back into this image. And then I'd like to make another picture together, perhaps, looking forward into a future in which she will flourish. Thank you for your time.